Welcome, everybody. This is National Kitchen and Bath Association. You're here for our third webinar of the month on universal design or living in place, whichever way you want to look at it. It still means the same. And we want to thank Gebert for their generous sponsorship for the month of September. Today's session is called Tech, Meet My Parents, Smart Kitchen and Baths, Aid Independent Living with Paula Kennedy. She is a certified master kitchen and bath designer as well as CLIP certified. She is here with Timeless Kitchen Design, and she's based out of the Seattle area. And Paula, if you're there, we're ready for you. Thank you.
Good morning. Good morning to our West Coast designers on the class today, and good afternoon to all of our East Coast friends and everyone in between and Canada as well. It's truly an honor to work with NKBA and be connected to so many of you, and many of you are my friends. I see at shows every year and at chapter meetings throughout the year. So thank you, Gebret, for sponsoring the seminars, the webinars this month. And thank you, Debbie, for all your support and getting all the speakers comfortable doing webinars online with everyone. So we are going to touch on a lot of big topics today. I just actually finished doing the podcast with NKBA and Carl Shamply last week. Hopefully some of you heard it. It was released on the 11th. And if you have not discovered, if you're a podcast fan, if you have not discovered NKBA's podcasts yet, let's definitely check those out. And Debbie, at the end, maybe we can make sure that they know how to access NKBA's podcast. So Carl and I just talked about designing for small spaces, technology, and aging in place all in one conversation, which was a lot to fit in. And this is a very broad conversation that a lot of us are having, and nobody was really connecting the dots between technology and aging in place or universal design. Today, during this session, I'm going to try to fit in as much as I can without overwhelming you too much, but we're going to touch on some definitions and statistics to start the conversation off. I believe setting expectations and making sure we're all on the same page is important for us as we, have these conversations just like we do with our clients, right? We're going to, of course, look at some products that fall into the kitchen and bath category, but also within the home, talk about some of my favorite spaces, stairs, lighting, wellness being a huge new category in our industry, and wrap it up with safety and question and answer at the end. And for the question and answer portion, I will do my best. I'm learning right along with you. Hopefully I've been able to do some research that I know you all don't have time to do every day, which is why you attend KBIS and some of these shows. So hopefully I can share some things with you that you didn't know or remind you of some things. I also just got back from the CEDIA show. CEDIA stands for Custom Electronic Design and Installation Association. They are beginning to partner with NKBA and KBIS a lot more. And I believe this might be the second year that we had some kitchen and bath designers attend the show. And I got to do that with NKBA, and it's a huge show, just like KBIS, but it's very focused on AV and the connected home. And some of the things, I had to redo my slides to add some new things that I saw there this last week. Wellness is definitely a huge topic and having everything connected. So this is just very, very timely for all of us. All right, so right out of the gate, I am not going to apologize. I am talking about aging in place. I know it's not always politically correct. We're supposed to be talking about universal design, but you guys, the sheer number and the demographics of this group, I believe, demand a special focus and their unique needs. All of these things you're going to be able to apply to your universal design clients. Our primary focus as designers is to aid independent living for as long as it's safe. And I want you to write this down, do a screen grab. This is our primary focus. The key word in there is the very last word of that sentence, safe. As long as it is safe for them to have independent living. So that's a key point, and that is going to be different for everyone. Every one of your clients are going to be different. There is no one size fits all. So independent living, one of the largest driving forces for us as human beings is to have a sense of control over ourselves and our lives. I'm going to occasionally ask questions. It'll just be like a raise your hand, you're chiming in and say, yes, this is true for me too. My parents are both 73. And so my first question of the day, and I may not be able to see all the answers here since I've got a full screen in front of me, but how many of you have parents that are 70 and above? And or you have already done a lot of design with clients that are 70 and above. We learn a lot from personal experience. And I watched my parents go through downsizing and helping my grandparents. And now I am working with my parents as they have downsized and are now needing to start retrofitting their home. I just got off the phone with my dad yesterday, and the thing, he's facing some health issues. And the thing that hit me the most was he said, the hardest part of all of this is going to be that he doesn't have control. He has no control, which just broke my heart. But the more we can relate from a personal level, I think bringing that empathy to our jobs with our clients just makes us even better at what we do. Now, technology, right now, there's everybody's talking about the smart home and Wi-Fi this and connected this. I'm going to be showing some of those things today, but I'm also going to be showing you some other innovative products that are just increasing functionality in their homes or mechanical in some way. Not everything is always Wi-Fi connected. We will have a lot of that, but just want you to know, on the occasion that I show you a product that's not, you're not all like, okay, Paula, that's not Wi-Fi, so that's not smart. Smart is a very broad term. In fact, a lot of us at CEDIA, when we were talking about smart home, is that term is beginning to get a little overused. We started kind of talking about the intelligent home, kind of broadening our terms there. Now, I don't need to remind you the sheer size of this demographic that we're talking about. How many of you fall into, and this will be a raise your hand, in 20 years, more than 1 in 5 people will be 65 plus. That's me. I fall into that category. It's crazy thinking about how every 13 minutes, another 100 people turn 60. So when I talk about aging in place and when I have really focused on that demographic, I am not necessarily really focusing on the silent generation or the generation like of my grandparents, the ones prior to the boomers. A lot of the design that we're going to be doing for them are going to be really emergency situations, reactive, kind of retrofitting, just to meet their needs in probably a short-term scenario. With the boomers, we're really going to be able to retrofit their homes earlier on, and for the generations that are following, like me, I'm going to be there soon after that. So what's fantastic about these clients is they're still rock and roll and not going to let you use it. They still want to be independent and in control of their lives. They're not going to go gentle into that good night. This is a different client than I think that we've had this conversation with over the years with aging in place. I constantly have heard there's pushback about, they don't really want to do the computers and electronics and technology. I beg to differ. My parents were on my chart way before I was. Most all of them, so you can see this chart, most all of them have computers, smartphones, tablets, and again, it's not all or nothing. It's not one size fits all, but there are many, many, and I think we need to get over that, oh, they don't want it. Yes, they do. They're a lot more connected, especially the boomers are a lot more connected than we think. And each generation is teaching the one before. So my parents taught my grandparents, got them on a computer so that they could email their grandkids. My sister and I got my parents, smartphones and how to use those, and so that they could taught them how to text, so that they could communicate with us. And now my nieces are teaching me smart Snapchat. So if there's a trickle down effect, if we want to communicate, we have to kind of learn the technology of the time. As I was researching, what really blew me away was even from the level of from our cities and states to the government are beginning to understand technology, the assistive technology for independent living, for universal design. And these are the categories that they're really focusing on. There is a report, a current huge, I kind of skimmed through it, huge report that they just put out this year. And these are the top categories that they're focusing on: hygiene, nutrition, medication, personal mobility, cognitive monitoring, communication, and social and monitoring and safety. Smart technology can play a role in making lives safer for seniors to live at home longer. Again, one size does not always fit all. You need to suss out what they need and design specifically for what they need. One of the biggest things that I'm seeing before we start kind of getting into the categories that I want to talk about, kind of this overarching, where are we going and what's kind of the technology that's already starting to come into place, is voice technology. Everything that we've been trying to do so far, there's, touch or the computer or smartphones or motion sensors. We need to incorporate a lot of different cues and have redundant cues for how we function in our homes. But voice is going to be the one I think that really makes a huge difference in all of our lives, including aging in place, because voice is one of the most natural ways that we want to integrate with our lives and connect with our lives and lives around us, right? So voice is extremely a natural desire for things to go. So I have an Alexa in my home, and it's great, except I need to continue adding more features to it, which we'll touch on. So I'm not going to read through all of these. You'll get a copy of this afterwards, but I think voice is really important. Let's start off with one of my favorite spaces. We're going to start off with the kitchen. Go through a few things that I think are important to think about. And again, I'm probably just scratching the surface in this 60-minute class, but you have all seen, hopefully, that have been at KBIS and online, you've seen the incredible discussion that's going on with appliances in our homes, and the Wi-Fi connection, and they're getting smarter, and how that's going to aid our lives. There has definitely been a discussion of, okay, are we being connected and Wi-Fi just to be connected, and are they really benefiting our lives? We have to start somewhere. And all of the appliance companies, we have to start somewhere and kind of get that ball rolling and start, getting things kind of fleshing out all the bugs, because with all technology, when they come out, there's bugs that we have to learn and connect, or, work through those, connect those dots and make things work better, right? They also, what these connected appliances are enabling the appliance companies to do is to be able to monitor, do maintenance, and do updates, and to be able to do a lot more of those service, hopefully avoiding service calls because they're more connected and they can fix things online. They are also giving the appliance companies some data, and I know that that's a touchy point in our industry that we are going, that we need to address, the privacy issues. But think about the appliance companies, they're going to be getting real-time data on how often you use that normal cycle only versus all these other features, much quicker and less expensive than they will with having focus groups coming in and, okay, how do you really use your dishwasher? They're going to know how we really use our dishwashers. We'll talk about some of the privacy issues in a minute. But there is a huge benefit there for the appliance company, which is going to enable them to continue working out the bugs and roll out things that are more and more efficient for us. So it does benefit us in the long run. So I think that's something out there that we need to wrap our brains around and understand. One of the benefits that I'm really looking forward to right now, kind of every appliance has their own app, and I'm looking forward to, like, if it's Alexa or Google or Apple devices where we can connect everything. I don't really want 20 different apps for my home to work. But as they're showing in this image here with the appliances, being able to manage the inventory that's in my home and the expiration dates, I want to be able, when I'm out grocery shopping, because if I forget to make a list, I can look back and see, oh, I have plenty of eggs, or the bananas. The bananas are overly ripe for what I prefer. We need to make banana bread out of those. But being able to do that, reduce waste for food, and I've got a whole other CEU that I talk about with food preservation, but I'm really excited about this one. I hate buying things that I don't need, and then there's food that goes to waste. So that app, and there's going to be a lot more of these that track our inventory in our homes. Okay, so I just got back from flying to CEDIA and going to Denver, and I'm constantly in these airports where the faucets are motion sensors and everything, and half the time they don't work. I get really frustrated, and I was beginning to kind of lose hope with some of the touch and motion sensor faucets. But when they're in a commercial application versus in your home, it's going to be very different. We're going to learn where that sensor is. I was at a client's house the other night, and I'm like, how do you turn this thing on? And she's like, oh, the sensor's up here. They love it. My sister has one and loves it. And it's just going to be a matter of what we get used to in our own homes, which is always true, right? So, of course, the benefit of touch or motion sensor faucets is, your hands are dirty. You've just, cut up a chicken, and so there's germs and whatnot, and being able to go run over and just use the motion. They're also becoming connected and becoming a little smarter, hopefully smarter. At first, I thought, do I really need my faucet to be connected, and do I really need to talk to it? So at KBIS this year, I saw, last couple years now, I've begun to see some of these, and I got to play with it. And being able to fill up 8 ounces or 6.5 ounces, or my cycling water bottle, which is, shy of 24 ounces, without it overflowing and wasting water, was a fantastic benefit for me. But what really sold me is if I'm clear across the room and I left the faucet on, now I can tell Alexa to turn it off. That sold me. And everybody I tell that to, because how often do you walk away and you've left it on? Being able to turn it off, that just totally sold me. At the beginning in the intro, I kind of touched on something that we need to be really thinking about with this demographic and universal design and aging in place is redundant cues. And color is definitely going to be one of these, in addition to touch and voice and whatnot. But having color, and we've had a lot of these for many years, the little black and hot little labels on our faucets and the showers and whatnot. We're conditioned and we're used to these colors in terms of temperature. This particular faucet has an LED light that comes on in there, and if it's cold, it's blue. If it's red, it's hot. And I saw another one at KBIS that in a showroom at Ferguson's here in Seattle recently that even had, I think it was violet for warm. So it had 3 colors. And that particular faucet, you could interact with that almost in every, turn the handle on, touch, motion, and the color cues, which I think is important. I think it was really great that, people in our industry are beginning to see those multiple cues and redundant cues because everybody needs different things, right? So again, those hands, you're dirty, you've just done the chicken and you don't want to, touch the faucet but what about disinfecting things that are in the kitchen? and using ozone, these faucets and filters. I'm just scratching the surface. I'm beginning to learn about these. And so I wanted to share this with you. There are filters that you can add, and some faucets even come with them now, that uses ozone as an oxidant and disinfectant for drinking water and whatnot. So as we age, well, even if you have kids, okay, germs in our house and managing that in our homes is really important. And I think it's going to become more important, especially as we have more health concerns, or we may become more susceptible to health concerns. So I have a few of these things that I'm going to share with you today. This is just one of them. I'm not going to go into, we don't have time to go into all the engineering of how this works. But if you would like to research that a little bit more, it should be pretty easy to find the filters online and with your plumbing manufacturers to get these items in your home. So, motorized accessibility. Again, these may or may not be Wi-Fi enabled, but why not? We probably could use the technology to get these enabled as well, and just be able to say, Alexa, roll down the dish storage or the KitchenAid mixer. So I bet we could probably make these enabled as well. But just the motorized aspect of these is technology to me. So if you want to call this low tech, that's fine. But I bet you we could connect these wirelessly and have control that way as well. So wanted to add that to us. Here's another one of my little tips and tricks that I kind of found because of experience with my dad. His hands are beginning to shake. He's beginning to have some tremors. And over the last few years, I actually learned this particular piece from the Living in Place Institute. And if you haven't sat in on some of their CEUs and seminars or gotten certified, I highly, highly recommend it. I'm really excited that NKBA is partnering with them for that certification. But this has a counterbalance, and there are some that are motorized and some that aren't. This is one that I really liked, and we actually got it for my dad to try, and he really likes it. So that you can actually eat and continue that independence. So let's shift to the bath now. So I usually try to avoid a lot of text and lists in PowerPoints. There was a lot to cover. And again, you'll get a copy of this later. You can read through this list later. We're not going to go through one by one, but the health benefits and the wellness industry. One of the things I saw at CEDIA, they had a whole wellness pavilion, and there's more and more blogs and articles coming out about wellness, and I believe it's the next large category in our industry, just like universal design, sustainability, and technology. So we really need to start paying it more attention to this for all of this. But as we age and want to stay independent, having some of these therapies in home, the health benefits are astronomical, and we really need to not avoid having some of these in their homes and really talk to them early on about the benefits of some of the in-home spa therapies that we can do for them. So a little future conversation going on here. Talk about a smart tub and all the things that are connected, and even on a broader term with the whole home being connected. But I don't know who's sourcing this particular tub here locally. As I'm researching, I often find things that are coming from Europe and different places. So I do not, other than Smart Hydro, I do not know the brand or who's sourcing this. But being able to have the tub filled and at certain temperatures and having things set for you before you get up and get in is really interesting to think about. And some of us are thinking, oh, I don't need that. Why do I? There may come a day. I was just working with a client. We're starting a remodel now, and she just had surgery and is recovering. And they did their bathroom last year, and she's really grateful that she has the Comfort Tight toilet and the grab bars. And she actually did the Moen connection elements in her shower, and they love it, and they're really grateful for that they did that ahead of time. saw this at KBIS this year. This zero gravity. Now, there's a lot of chairs and furniture out there that I saw, especially in the theater industry at CEDIA, about the zero gravity chairs that kind of lean back. In fact, I got to go into the wellness pavilion and have an experience where the chair goes all the way back, and the zero gravity is basically where everything is all flexed, all your joints are flexed, and that your knees are up at about the level of your heart, if not maybe just a touch more, but at least level with your heart. So you really kind of get that floating sensation. And so Toto's tub here enables you to do that and get that sensation and just to be able to relax and kind of take pressure off of all of our joints, which to me sounds really great. I had a couple designers talk to me about, well, how do they get in and out of it? That could be a challenge. Again, keep your particular client in mind and design for your client's needs and abilities. And this is, again, may not be for everyone, but definitely something to keep in mind. Okay, this may be low tech, but I'm going to add it in here. Let's not forget it. I think anybody who is 50 to 60 years or more, if you're redesigning their home, let's put radiant heat in. It is amazing how the cold affects us and affects our joints, and it radiates, that cold radiates up into our joints and our limbs, and it really reduces mobility and can increase pain. So the flip side of that, being able to, and all of us are familiar with this, and we've been designing these for years. I'm just saying, don't forget it. And I think it's really important anytime you're dealing with anybody who wants to stay in their home to add this, and especially don't forget the kitchens as well. So that's one of my little low tech, but don't forget it. Of course, the high tech part of this is, they can be programmed and scheduled, and which we've always had those controls, but I bet now, and I did not go deeper in researching this, but I bet most of these companies now, they can be Wi-Fi enabled, and we can add them to the home system to control the time on some of those. Here's that Moen shower control system that my client had. There's a few, so I usually try to avoid brands, but I'm kind of throwing out a few different ones out there, so we're not just focusing on one, but being able to control from inside or out. I talked to a manufacturer at the CEDIA show. The first question I had was, and many of you and your clients probably have, are, what happens if we have a windstorm and the power blows out? What if we lose power? In the showers that I've seen, especially the one that I saw at the show, there are no manual controls. So usually when the power goes out, I can still use the bathroom. I can still use the water because nothing is all electric, right? But when the power goes out, am I going to be able to use that smart toilet or the shower? And, I wasn't entirely happy with the answer. Some of the answers are, getting home generators, which I do think is important. But they mentioned some type of a battery that's like a point of use battery where you could get, another hour's worth of the shower. I'm not really happy with where we're at with that yet, but I know, again, we're in the infant stages of a lot of this technology, and they will listen to our clients and our clients' concerns and to ours. So keep talking to your manufacturers about how do we address that. And just like the kitchen faucet, it still has a handle. So I think it would be really easy in the showers to give us that manual control too, if and when that happens. So a few more. The seat, the toilet, the lights, the night lights. Again, I don't know that I need my toilet connected, but in the future, we may find some benefits with that. And of course, the manufacturers, the benefit to them, they're going to be able to do upgrades and things for us that are in real time instead of having to wait for years for the next version to come out, right? So the thing I saw that really was, okay, wow, we have to talk about this one, was the touchless toilet flush system. This was the first one that I've seen. There may be others out there where there's a sensor. So now I don't have to touch it. I swear the older I get, the more of a germaphobe I become. Whether that's good or not, I don't know. I've lived this long, so there are some things that come out. I'm like, well, we survived childhood without that, but times change. And I would love it if I didn't have to touch the toilet at all. So this will be on my list for my next home, that touchless system. Also I steered clear of the wall hung toilets for many years just because of unfamiliarity, right? And over the last few years now, I only specify wall hung toilets. And I always put an outlet in, and you've heard this before, but I always put an outlet in behind the toilet, whether they're ready to do, the all the bells and whistles or not. Someday they might, and if they got the outlet there, then we can do that. Um, I was at, oh, let's see, a hotel that I was in, and then also recently a showroom. And you guys, you really just need to go in and start playing with these things and trying them out so that you can talk with your clients about them. And if we've tried them and learned about them, it's easier to have that conversation with them. So this particular aspect with the toilets and the bidet attachments and whatnot really goes down to the hygiene and wellness conversation within universal design and aging in place. And for all of us. So keep that on your list as you're talking with your clients. Let's jump to a broader discussion with our homes. And this is what I was seeing at the CEDIA, and you're beginning to see online everywhere, is whole home systems and integrators and connecting. The Alexa telling me what the weather is, that's only going to be novel for so long. I need to start connecting it to the lights and to the home, entry system and different things, and to some of my new appliances, for us to really start seeing the benefit there. So these are some things I want you to think about. I just touched on that generator. I think a lot of us in a lot of the different regions that we live in, if you don't have a generator, it might be something we should talk about with our clients as we're looking at new hot water heaters or whatnot. Let's add generators to homes, especially with aging in place and health and wellness. If they have some things, medications and different things that, they can't afford to lose power, we really need to add that to our appliance list. And let's talk to, I believe a lot of my appliance dealers also have access to generators, because that's when people are thinking about it. And we just add it to the appliance list. So I talked about integration, and there are a lot of different companies. And if you were at CEDIA, I know I looked at the list of who all's on the call today, and I think there were a couple of you I might have seen at CEDIA. This was a huge conversation about working with integrators. Just like we work with plumbing experts and appliance experts, outdoor living experts, home theater experts. In fact, most of the dealers that you will find for integrating are going to be likely employed by or within that home theater showroom. And you want to find a certified integrator. And that's what's fantastic about CEDIA, just like with NKBA, is they have certification and education. So you're going to want to find a CEDIA certified home integrator to work with. There are a lot. These are just a couple that I had some interactions with so far. Look up in your area and see, just look in your area for smart home integration. Or one of these, or even go onto the CEDIA website and see the list of exhibitors, and you could probably find about 10 more. You find one in your area. And these are the types of items that we're talking about having whole integration, from the appliances that we've talked about to climate control, security, smart lighting, and voice control. So we could do one whole topic, just CEU, just on this. It's pretty big. So I'm going to keep going on some items that I have found around the house that help. Um, how many of you, let's do a little raise your hand, make sure we're still all listening here. How many of you have tried or own one of these robot vacuums? Show me a raise your hands. How many of you have tried or have and love, or have tried it and don't love it, one of these robot vacuums? My boyfriend has hardwood floors and lives in a large, kind of it's an all open house with cathedral ceilings and whatnot. And we tried one. I think we got one from Costco. And it worked down below where there was a lower ceiling, but then once it got up into the area where there were the cathedral ceilings, I think it was having some issues. But I'm really excited because that's one of those things that I hate doing. And if I had something that, going around picking up the pet hair, this really does fall within that wellness category. Keeping our homes clean and saving you time to be doing other things with your kids. Management of our environment and the temperature is really going to be important as we move forward, especially if you have some control, be able to set the home up in zones. And I'm excited about the future of when, different family members walk into different rooms and the system knows that you like it warmer, or your partner likes it cooler, or the baby's on the floor, let's warm the floor or warm that room up. And how is all that going to happen? How is the system going to know who's in what room? Again, that kind of brings up all these little red flags of privacy. But let's do another question. How many of you, just raise your hand, how many of you wear a Fitbit, a smartwatch, a Fitbit or a smartwatch or some other brand of smartwatch or fitness watch that is a wearable that you wear on a daily basis? Just a raise of hand or yes that you do that. I believe that wearable tech is going to become really kind of how they track us, how our home system will know who's in the room and who's not. It's just a natural, because so many of us are using it, or on your cell phone. But I think a wearable, like I never take this off, and occasionally I leave my cell phone in the other room. So a wearable tech would probably be more appropriate. This was fun. You guys, when you start researching these things, you go down the rabbit hole in Pinterest and online and Google, and it is amazing the amount of content that is out there. I believe this, and I hadn't seen this one before, but being able to have this type of an automatic door opener in our homes. Now, this may not be like a long-term solution. This could be for somebody who maybe just had surgery and needs temporary help, or if they really are, even over, further over 70 or older, and it's a retrofit application. It does take up some space, like if a wheelchair to go through, so you have to make sure that it works. This may not be good for a wheelchair application in a home. But for somebody who's still upright. Leak sensors, as we're talking about the whole home, I constantly get clients that are worried about dishwashers and washers leaking. I'm talking them into doing, here in the Northwest, we do a lot of hardwood floors, and so they're concerned about leaking. There are systems now that not only detect it, but also then do something about it and turning it off. And I saw 2 or 3 of these systems at CEDIA. Stairs are kind of a favorite point of mine. Now, at a certain point, An aging in place home may no longer have stairs, but this is not going to be true of all. Again, not one size does not fit all, but I love the idea of inlaying. There's so much we can do with LED lighting now. And automated retrofit mechanical solutions may, for some of our clients, be something that we have to look into. These are a couple, maybe we can build that elevator on the exterior of the home. We don't always, in a retrofit application, not always going to be able to redesign the entire house in the middle to be able to structurally put an elevator on the inside. So I thought this was a great creative solution, is looking at the exterior of the home. And what they're working on for either now or in the future, I believe these were both future prototypes. Being able to get around in our environments, whether it's indoor or outdoor, continues to help us feel connected to our community, which is going to reduce, feeling lonely and whatnot. So the more mobility options we can give people, the better. Again, inside their homes or out. Some of you have probably sat in on plenty of lighting CEUs. This is a huge conversation that could have its own conversation. I believe Living in Place may even have a CEU that is just lighting. Yeah, they did, because I helped with it. Just lighting and aging in place. The key takeaway points here: the increasing the light levels. You might want to jot these down, do a screen grab, or you'll get a copy of this later, of increasing the foot candles. And I just realized I highlighted the wrong numbers. You want to do 100 in the kitchen versus 75. For ambient in the kitchen, you want to do 40 versus 30, and in bathroom lighting, 40 versus 30. I highlighted the wrong numbers last night as I was updating this at the last minute for all of you. But just understanding how our eyes age and how to design our homes for comfortable living. At CEDIA, this is a new term for me, this phrase, human-centric lighting. Now that if you haven't heard it yet, now that you're hearing it, you are going to see it and read it everywhere. This is a new term for something that we've been talking about for a while, but it's a holistic approach to how we do the whole entire lighting in the home for well-being. And a lot of people kind of stop talking about, like, they get to the well-being word and that's the end of the discussion. But with the holistic is also about their productivity and comfort in their environment. I'm in the middle of reading Arianna Huffington's book, The Sleep Revolution, and I'm a night owl, and I'm also self-employed. I work from home, and so getting myself on a routine with my sleep has been really challenging. But it is amazing how much sleep deprivation negatively impacts every aspect of our bodies, mentally, physically, in our lives. And so I am working really hard at getting 7 to 8 hours of sleep a night, and opening and closing my blinds, turning the blue light filter on my phone at night. So that human-centric lighting and controlling the light, a lot of that conversation revolves around circadian rhythms. We need that blue light in the morning to wake up, to get more energy. And then we need to reduce that blue light at night towards the evening so that we can create our own natural melatonin. Now, last night I took a melatonin supplement. But if I can manage my lighting in the home, I should be able to create my own. So that's a little scratching the surface of circadian rhythm lighting. Night lights, safety lights throughout our homes. I really like this one for under the bed. The conversation about being able to manage not just lighting, don't forget about the blinds. No matter where you live, what region you're in, We all are hungry for daylight and for the outdoors, and we don't want to live in a dark box, right? But we do need to manage that light for our circadian rhythms and whatnot, and even temperature control, temperature comfort. So there are a lot of companies out now that have systems that are not only remote controlled, but now they can be connected to your integrated home system, whether that's like I showed you, the Home Connect or Control 4 or many others that work on the Alexa systems or Google systems, or the other one, I believe there's a Apple one out there. So I think a lot of kitchen and bath designers have kind of left this on the table and don't address this. And I think we need to change that and start talking about and installing and specifying blinds in the spaces that we are designing. I know, hopefully many of you do this already, and hopefully I'm one of the few that have not, and I will be starting to get into adding blinds. I'm doing the kitchen and bathrooms where there's blinds. Why aren't I doing these? Yeah, that's an ongoing question. So that big, when I saw the wellness pavilion at CEDIA, and this is probably not new to a lot of you, but really understanding that it's a new category in our industry. So as we're talking about our homes and specifically aging in place, there is a lot of medication management. When I was helping my mom with a minor surgery last year, just realized I finally got a grasp of all the medications that she takes, and they can only be taken like one is every other day, and one with food, and one only every, at certain times of the day, and it can't be taken with the other. I mean, it was overwhelming to me, let alone how is she figuring all this out. So there are systems now, like in the home, that can help manage that and have organizers and schedules and reminders, and even scheduling for reordering, and it can be connected to your My Chart, or if there's somebody like a family member who is helping to monitor these things, that a family member could also monitor this. I still can't get over the fact that my parents were on My Chart way before I did. It took me a while to get on there, which seems backwards. But medication storage, again, the MetaCube was really interesting to me. We can pre-fill the different medication that they need in there, and then set the schedule, and then it really does just kind of dispense what you need for that day or for that for that time of day. And it's also managing the temperature. So medication storage, most of it needs to be between that 35 degree Fahrenheit and 46 degree Fahrenheit. So we do need to be careful of the temperature. So as we're talking about kitchen and baths, so most of us are familiar with some of these already, medication storage in the bathrooms. Let's remember about having some locks. Now, some of us talk about like cool storage in the bathrooms for different makeups and different products, but they're fantastic for medication as well. And let's definitely keep in mind some of the ones that may have locks on them if there are little ones around. I didn't include this on this CEU, but there are some under cabinet or drawer refrigeration units that you can adjust the temperatures into the right zone as well. So we may even be able to solve that with a refrigerator drawer as well. Okay, this one's a little off the reservation as far as the home goes, but as I'm studying and researching these things, I follow these things all the time. As we age, we need to continue to be able to do what we've always done, especially getting out around our communities. So the more comfortable we are and the safer it is for us to continue doing the activities that we've done, the healthier and happier we are going to be, and the less depressed that we could possibly be. But this brand new, the We Walk for the blind, sense that has connected to Google Maps and sensors, identifies your surroundings. So I think it's fantastic that it was a blind man that actually developed and and invented this new smart cane for walking. And this little device blows things up for us to see. I'm right there visually with vision issues, needing things to be a little bit bigger. So earlier we talked about germs in the kitchen with the faucets. Don't know how many of you have seen this yet. I think several different manufacturers have this. This is just one that I have been learning about, Sherwin-Williams Paint Shield, for reducing and killing bacteria in our homes. This is fantastic if you want to do a little research on this as you're doing your bathrooms. And this is a foundation paint that you then tint with whatever colors you want. I think it'd be fantastic for us to use this in their kitchen and bathrooms and places that we know we need to reduce, possibly even laundry rooms. Now, sunlight is a natural, with the UV rays, it naturally fights germs. I remember back when my grandmother used to still hang things outside. I haven't done that in years, except when I'm camping. But we've lost, and I think we've done this in a lot of areas with design in our homes. We've lost some old school ways of doing things. So there are some lights now that we can bring into the home, UV lights that kill bacteria. This particular door handle, when it's not being used, that UV light is on and sterilizing it. And as soon as it moves, it's turned off. This handheld towel holder can dry. There's a fan connected to this. This is obviously outside the US, but I find this technology everywhere, and I believe eventually it'll make its way to the US. Not only dries, but also disinfects with UV light. However, there's also conversation about UV not being safe for us. So this particular company, and there are probably others, created a non-UV light that we can use for under cabinet lighting in kitchens to help kill and disinfect. I love this image with the cat on the countertop. And I'm sorry, back when I had a cat, she kind of ruled the roost too, and I was a losing battle. So having an under cabinet light like this that killed bacteria would have been pretty great. And now with LED lights, we're able to get the right color that we want. So jot this one down. There's a few companies out there that are offering it, and I think this is going to be really important as we manage germs and health within our homes. And I just stumbled on this one last week as well. And I'm sure that there are a few other brands doing this. So we can control when that non-UV light turns on or off. It also can be a standard regular light with this fan as well. But it will, if we kind of put it around where all the water areas are, we can set the timer for when it's on, and it will turn off automatically on its own as well. So I really want you to start thinking about the germ management, just like lighting management and everything else in the home. Let's think about germ management for a lot of our clients that fall into this category. Let's wrap it up today so we have some time for Q&A. Hopefully that'll be able to answer, or some of you probably know a lot of this as well. But let's wrap up with safety. As we're aging in place, this is an incredibly important element of the homes that we are designing and working on. That home monitoring systems, the smart doorbells, garage door openers, remote lighting, access to different technology in the home, or different like the home clock, emergency notification necklace. I'm going to touch on that. Different small appliances. Also, fall detection and smoke and fire. So safety in the home is really important. Let's start at the front door. Being able to see who's at the front door, whether it's delivery drivers or somebody we're not used to, If you're not expecting somebody, this is really going to be important. And most of these elements today are going to be able to be tied into the whole home speaking. The whole home. Sorry, I'm getting distracted by some of the questions that are popping up in the corner there. I'll let Debbie worry about those, and we will definitely answer some of your questions at the end. But we can have these all integrated with our systems, especially the whole home systems. So somebody was worried about, well, what if I don't want to give my password out to somebody? I just stumbled across this as I was researching this handle for the front door is a pattern door lock, so it can reduce, safety concerns for passwords. So that was a fantastic new element. Fall detection. If you look at the graph here, from age 65 plus, 1 out of 3 people fall each year, and that just increases the older that we get. The falls will increase. And I'm thinking about my own parents. I have seen my mom shuffling along in her slippers on carpet, which you would think is safe, but I have seen her trip with these particular slippers on carpet. And it's amazing how many, well, it shouldn't be amazing. I mean, we're all human beings. We all have egos. We all, how many of these reports, 50% of these go unreported. And how can we modify our homes if we don't know that we need to do that? Now, earlier I talked about the wearable tech, and we've seen the old school ones that aren't very pretty, and they're like, yeah, I'm not going to wear that around the house if I fall. But the newest, I believe it was the newest Apple Watch, it knows your age, right? So automatically, if you're 65 plus, if you fall, your Apple Watch will send out an alert. You can turn this off if you don't want somebody, calling you, emergency calling you that, did you fall? But I think that's going to be a big help in our industry. And there's also a new hearing aid that has a fall detection. So anything that we can do to reduce some of these health issues in our homes, and falls are such a major one as we're aging. And let's wrap this up. Fires are also a number one cause of damage in our homes, with leaving things on the burner. I actually got my parents one of these, the in a home one, and I think it got put in a drawer, and he hasn't put it up yet. And so next time I go down, I think I'm gonna have to put it up. But they're going to be they're connected now, and they're going to be able to catch smoke and different things way earlier than our traditional smoke detectors do. And then they can give alerts to whoever is monitoring the home, or monitoring, whoever the caregivers are. So in closing, this is a huge category, and we probably could have broken this down into 2 or 3 different CEUs. So I know we're just scratching the surface of this. And there are some of you out there that have been, can probably offer a lot as well. But I hope that you got some good pieces to add to your design toolbox. Thank you, Gebrit, for sponsoring today. And thank you for attending. Here are some links that I think will give you some more information. And Debbie, how do I give this back to you? And so that we
I'm
can
here,
answer.
Paula.
Great. And so we
Thank
can
you
answer
so
some
much.
questions. Mm-hmm.
Yes. So this has been great. It's been really informative, and I want to thank you and thank everyone out there. And once again, thank Everett too. So there were a couple of questions. What was the name of the underbed light, and who makes it?
Okay. Do you mind if I
No, that's fine.
scroll back really quick to find it?
Not a problem. Thank you.
Where was lighting? My lights, bed light, or just Google bed light.
Okay.
And it looks like it's just an LED strip light, but I bet you could probably just DIY it yourself as well.
Good. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Then there was another question here about how is the wall hanging toilet different to a regular one in terms of living in place?
Oh, okay, great. Thank you. So obviously we're able to put it at a height that's comfortable for our specific clients, and also for cleaning. So, we're doing this for a lot of our clients, but specifically for aging in place, the cleanability and being able to access and get the germs out around there, I think are really important. And we're just also in small spaces. So, I think the wall hung toilet is just good for cleanability and at the height that we need it at.
Okay, and there's someone else that said that they have a concern about the wall-hung
Mhm.
toilets too, because they're saying, what happens if a 300-pound person lands a little heavy on the seat?
Okay, so, and this is going to be true for any of us. We need to check the manufacturing recommendations and talk to our plumbing installers and the framers and make sure that we are specifying. And this is when we're doing our survey up front with our clients and identifying their specific needs. Off the top of my head, I do not know what most of the wall-hung toilets are rated for weight. So you need to look at the manufacturer and see, just like we do with gas ranges and overhead hoods. They tell us what specific uh, like codes and different things and that we have to follow for things to actually work. So check the manufacturer website to see what they're rated at.
Oh, that's great, great response. So here's a couple more. So the majority of the clients that this person's worked with have very real physical needs. She works with vets, elderly, handicapped folks, and they have very limited budget. The first thing to
Mm-hmm.
get cut from the budget are often these items that would be beneficial to them. She's
Okay.
asking, do you know of any funding clients can apply for or ways to reduce costs?
So that was a great conversation that we were having with specifically it was Control 4 at CEDIA, is we kind of need that good, better, best category for budget because not everybody is going to probably go for the luxury package being connected. So in this particular case, we may not be able to offer a whole home integration. We may need to break it down into pieces. And right now, Alexa is really inexpensive. There might be some other concerns. There's going to be pros and cons, no, pretty much on every solution. But really drill down into what is particularly also the lighting and those LED lights and the connected lights. The costs are coming down a lot on these, you guys. The budget conversation is really going to be reducing because the greater the demand, the better the prices are going to be, and it's more accessible for more people. So you may not do a whole integrated home, but look at the spaces like let's work on the bathroom for safety, right? And the kitchen for safety. Maybe those are the two rooms that you really focus on. But don't just assume it's going to be so much more expensive. Those lights are not that expensive anymore, and connecting it with Alexa is really inexpensive.
Okay, that's good to know. And I was also thinking about, as far as vets, the Veterans Administration, sometimes they have things that are available through that organization for funding. And there might be some other things out there for senior citizens as well, or handicapped folks, organizations that will benefit and or help clients reduce those costs. There is one more for you, Paula. So most of this wonderful technology is for people that do not have memory issues such as dementia or Alzheimer's. Since there's been such an increase in this population, has there been any developments to help people that forget how to use technical devices?
Fantastic question. I think what I was seeing the most of are like that Medicube that had like where a caregiver put the medication in there and then it's sorted and there's reminders. I think the redundant cues are going to be really important and labels, things that are labeled. And again, that goes back to the redundant queuing is going to be extremely important, especially for that particular demographic. Having those reminders and using smart tech, using our phones for reminders. So as far as I think for all of us, the simpler and easier and the more intuitive that this technology is, the more of us are going to use it. And the bigger benefit we are all going to get. So it has to be intuitive, whether it's voice or large print on our phones, reminders from our phones, or um, connection to our caregivers. So yeah, I would like to see a little bit more in that category too, but I believe these redundant cues and the reminders that we can set up on all of these things really should help that demographic as well. And I will actually do some more research on that. Maybe add add something more to the CEU. Thanks for asking that question.
Paula, I think that's all I have for right now, and I want to
Great.
thank you so much. This has been so informative. Many people are sending their thanks in the chat
Oh,
as
you're
well.
welcome. Thank
And
you.
you're welcome. And once again, I want to thank Deborah for the sponsorship, and I hope everyone has a great day. Thank you.